is how to stand out when it comes to your job application against the crowd, because we all know there are a lot of people looking for this kind of work.
For sure.
So there is a story that I remember from my graduate days when we were applying for consulting jobs, of a guy who took his brother dressing in a full ice hockey uniform to the interview to make the point that this was something that is unique and special and it's a strength in my character, that, and et cetera, et cetera. The story goes that he got the job because he stood out. Now, I don't know whether that is either A, true, or B, relevant in today's job market. But from your perspective, you see a lot of applications, you look at a lot of candidates. Are there any things that are useful to consider in terms of standing out from the crowd?
I appreciate the prompt, because I think my first response in this is don't try too hard. So if you think about it from the beginning of now, you want your resume to stand out. You don't need to use a ton of graphics and crazy fonts and things. Generally keeping it simple and defining, customizing that information to the job description as best you can, making sure that your resume speaks to the impact that you've had, or the really any way that you can quantify your contributions. Really, regardless of your role, there are quantifiable measures for most things. So think about, hopefully you had performance reviews, and hopefully you and your team were working towards some sort of metrics. How can you quantify that in your CV? But don't try too hard with a lot of graphics and a lot of color and these sorts of things. Personal opinion about one-page resumes in 2024, nearly 2025, it's a thing of the past, especially for mid-career professionals. If you're purposely condensing your information to a singular page, you're probably omitting content that would be more interesting or more valuable and useful to folks making decisions who to pass on into the interview process. So that's general CV standout. In an interview, the same advice: don't try too hard. You'll stand out with demonstrated research and sophisticated questions. Sophisticated maybe overly romanticized too. They don't need to be sophisticated questions, just well thought out. I saw this on the website. I saw this recent news bit. I saw this on your LinkedIn, and it made me wonder. That's a sophisticated question. It demonstrates your research. It demonstrates your curiosity. And then in follow-up to interviews, there's different schools of thought on follow-up email, etc. To the point of the hockey brother, I've received gifts both in the mail and like gift cards via email after interviews. I don't think any of that is necessary whatsoever. But there are some hiring managers and hiring teams I've worked with very recently that have an expectation of a follow-up email and will comment, "I never heard anything after our interview," and they must not be interested. So I think better safe than sorry, sending a short email to thank an individual or a team for their time, and personalizing that to the extent of something very specific from the call. You mentioned this and it piqued my interest because, or framing that in a question, I heard you say these things and it made me wonder these other things. I'd love to continue the conversation. But again, short and concise. It does not need to be very long, but better safe than sorry sending those messages today, I think. But macro level advice: don't bring your brother in his football kit or anything else. Don't try too hard to stand out, and that will probably make you stand out very well.
Yes, yeah, like it. Great answer as well, with the before, during, after. Yeah, really nice structure.
I appreciate that.